Hello, and welcome to to the Grow Giver podcast. I do growing your mindset podcast 5 days a week. This is the 1 day a week show, so I'm bound to mess up occasionally. So welcome to welcome to the Grow Giver podcast with Justin Hoke and Stephen Crawford. I think somebody's got
That's me.
audio
Can you
going
mute
on in
me?
the background.
There we go. I'm going to close my door. I cannot mute myself there.
All right, you guys. Oh, you know what? It's mine. It's my computer. I went and I got the link for you, folks. You guys are amazing, hanging out with us while I make all kinds of blunders. Steve isn't with us today. He said he had some conflicts. Hopefully, he'll be able to make the show at some point. But we're hoping to see him in the not too distant future. We're super excited to have Caroline Cain with us today. Caroline, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now so that we can get you on here. It's exciting to have you here. I want to have people get to know you a little bit. We've gotten to know you in the Sub 2 community because you're like everywhere. When somebody starts Sub 2, you're the first person that they meet in the newbie Zoom. Mm-hmm. Those who are getting their stuff done, learning how to make those amazing calls to sellers and whatnot. They work with you in the daily dials. But I think people want to get to know you more. So I think my first question to you is going to be, how did you get started in real estate investing and what inspired you to pursue it as a career?
That is a great question. So I got started in real estate investing when COVID happened. I used to have a small business with my mom, and in June of 2020, I decided before that, actually, I was, like everybody else on YouTube University, kind of deep diving what wholesaling was. My sister got her realtor's license and told me her teachers were telling her wholesaling is kind of really big right now. It's a great way to get started and you don't need your license to do it. And I was like, great. I do not like taking tests. I don't like going to class. Let me learn about wholesaling. So I actually joined a mentorship in June of 2020. And in that period, I kind of burned through it and I just started like messing up and failing forward. I did a lot of driving for deals, a ton. Like every morning, I think I drove for at least an hour. I'd add like 50 houses to my driving for deals list. And then I'd go home. I would skip trace them. I'd call them. And in that period of time, about 3 months before I got into the Sub 2 mentorship, I made $26,000 being really inconsistent, doing a bunch of different strategies. I was like, I didn't even realize this now that I know I was like micro flipping deals that were on Facebook. But yeah, so I got started really wholesaling. I joined Sub 2 because I needed help with an issue. So I can even tell you about that. I found a deal on Facebook in a different like free group. Somebody was looking for a buyer on a deal, and it was in New Jersey. I'd never been to New Jersey. I was like, oh yeah, I can get you a buyer for that. And did I have a buyer for that? I absolutely did not. But I got a JV agreement signed with this person. And I knew what needed to happen because I joined a mentorship so I could understand the process of reverse engineering, find a buyer first, then go get the deals at work. So with this person, we signed a JV agreement. I sent it over to the title company. I could actually probably find the video. I could find the Loom video and put it on my YouTube for everybody. I spent 5 minutes making the cheapest little flyer on Microsoft Word. I still have Microsoft Word. I just had like the photo of the property, I had like a Dropbox link to the photos, property details, ARV, the asking price, the closing date. And I put it on this New Jersey real estate group. And this is when I understood that you needed to get comments on your Facebook posts. So every time I like tagged a bunch of people, and anytime somebody would reply, I'd give them like a heart and I'd give them a bunch of comments. So it made my post bump to the top. And I got a lot of interested buyers. In that period, I had a legit buyer reach out to me like, hey, a bunch of these people that are on your Facebook post are not really buyers. I am. This is my buy box. This is exactly where I want to be. If you sign this over to me and let me see the property, I will buy it at your asking price and I can close in 10 days. And I was like, oh, heck yeah. So the partner that I had made from Facebook showed them the property. We went under contract and we closed. Now this is where it gets tricky. We had that JV agreement and I sent it to the title company. Well, I really didn't know this person at all. I was going to make 10,000. She was going to make 20 because I didn't do that much work. It was 15 minutes of work, maybe 30 in total at the beginning. At the end, when I wanted to get paid, it was probably a couple hours, but I set it up. And when closing time came, the title company gave my JV partner, who is not I didn't know them, gave them the entire $30,000. And I was like, hey, it was a Friday. It was like 4 o'clock on a Friday. I lived in Florida at the time. And I was like, hey, I'm waiting on this money. Where is it? And they're like, oh, we sent it to your partner. And I was like, well, we're not like besties. Like, we just worked on this deal together. And they're like, well, you need to get the money from them. And I'm like, okay. So I'm texting this person. I'm like, hey, where's the money? Like, oh, yeah, they gave it all to me. And I was like, okay, can you send me my portion? They're like, yeah, let me try and get to the bank. And I'm like, oh, it's 4:30. The bank is 40 minutes away. I'm not going to be able to. I'll go tomorrow morning. I'll go Saturday morning and I'll get you the money. I'll send it over to you. I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm a little nervous because I'm like, why didn't they send me this money? So Saturday comes around, Saturday morning, I'm like up at 8 a.m. I'm texting them like, hey, just, I know the bank's open at 9. And I know they're only open till noon. What time can you get there? Didn't hear anything till like 11:30. Oh, sorry, I celebrated last night because of the closing. So I slept in. The bank's closed in 30 minutes. I'm not going to be able to get you the money today. And I'm like, all right, I'm kind of stressing out. So banks are not open on Sunday. I go Monday, I'm texting like, hey, when are you going to be able to get this to me? And like, I'll write you a check. I'm like, no, you needed to wire me the money. Send me the money to my bank account. Oh, well, I can't wire that much money over an account that I don't know. I'm like, all right. So this is actually yeah. So at this point, I was actually messaging the mentor that I had was not really getting back to me. They were very short. They were like, oh, that's Title's fault. You have a JV agreement. Title should fix that. I'm like, what are the steps? What should I be doing? Have Title fix it. Like, not like I'm one of those people, give me the steps and I'm going to make sure it's done. I was just kind of figure it out on your own. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I am really stressed out. So I actually was messaging Pace on Instagram. Pace helped me before I was a student and answered me. He's like, you can sue Title. Like this is Title's mistake. They can get in a lot of trouble. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you need to tell Title to make this right. So at this point I'm emailing Title. And I called them. I'm like, hey, we had a JV agreement and you did not follow the steps. I sent it to them, as soon as we got like the week prior, and they didn't follow the JV agreement. And I'm like, well, just try and get it from your partner. I'm like, no, this is your mistake. You guys need to get me my money. The girl was not answering my text. Oh, she just couldn't make it. She worked all day and only had 30 minutes to get to the bank. And I'm like, I'm not going to make my money. I was so stressed out. So eventually they got a new person on the Title to come and help me, kind of got it squared away. That girl took the entire amount back to the bank or to the title company, and they sent out the checks the right way. So I did finally get my money. It took me about a week to get it. And that's when I joined. So I was like, okay, Pace is helping me. And I'm not even a student. Holy, what is it like if you're inside of the sub 2 world? What can that be? So I made like I made $10,000 and I'm like, this is great. Like, I can just help other people, connect things, find buyers. And I really joined because I got a list of free data from one of the programs I was using. And it was like skip trace and everything. Just so everybody knows, free does not mean it's the best. It was just like really not accurate phone numbers. And I was texting and it was, hey, Malcolm, I see you own a house on 123 Main Street. Would you be considering selling it? And I went through like a bunch of people and Malcolm ended up answering me. He's like, no, I don't, not, for example, I don't actually own 123 Main Street, but I do have some land. And I was like, do you have anything else that you'd be considering to sell? And I was like, no, but I do have some land I'd sell with my cousins. And I was like, awesome. Where is it? Yeah, we have 21 acres. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm new. I'm green as they can get. I'm as green as an Irish girl on St. Patrick's Day. And I'm like, I have no idea how to comp land and to figure out what it's worth. I don't know what you need to do for developers. What the heck? So I remember talking to my onboarding person at Sub 2 and they're like, oh, Pace will call your seller for you and help you lock up deals and partner with you. And I was like, heck yeah. So if you guys actually go back into the Sub 2 Zoom vault, you'll see the first time I ever spoke to Pace. It was like 8:30 in the morning on like September 3rd, 2020. And he called my seller and it turned into 21 acres right by Lake Conroe in Texas, right in Houston, a really nice area. It's being turned into an RV park, and Pace made it into, right, prices were cheap because this is when COVID was happening. And I actually need to follow up with him. He's like, developing an RV park takes some time, but that was the first time I partnered with Pace on a deal, and I joined Sub 2. And after that, he was like, you are a freaking action taker and persistent. Would you want to join my team and call motivated sellers? And I was like, heck yeah. So I had known nothing. I made some money being really inconsistent. And then I joined Pace's team, and I was working on the acquisition side, and it was a blast. And then I started working for Sub 2 and doing more with Pace. And now I just kind of work for the mentorship, and I do deals on my own. So long story short was I just went out and created chaos, and I was just really consistent, and I ended up making some money, and I live a pretty good life now. I enjoy it. I'm really happy. Actually, 3 weeks ago, we were all in Tampa. I went skydiving with Pace and a bunch of other Sub 2 people, Marlon Johnson, Alexis Morgan, Sam Singh. We all jumped from 18,000 feet out of an airplane. So it's kind of like it's like we're in a really cool, like, brotherhood, sisterhood, where we get to work together. We're leveling up together, and we do like epic stuff where we're just jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. So yeah, it's crazy. Real estate's brought me a lot of stuff.
That's so dope. I mean, one of the things that that makes me want to eventually get out to Arizona, and I think I put the word out there, is just wanting to be part of that campfire. I mean, I love the campfire effect that I'm getting being part of Sub 2 anyway. But now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to jump out of an airplane. So
not yet. Yeah, hey, I will tell you, a lot of people did not want to. Hung went with us. Hung also jumped with us. He did not want to. We went to Universal Studios like the next day, and he's like, I enjoy roller coasters now because I jumped out of that airplane. First time you do something scary, and then you're like, this is actually really cool. It's fun.
That is pretty dope. I gotta tell you. So, I love the story, man. I ask a question, you take it away, and better than I could even hope for, too. You actually went through and got like my next 2 or 3 questions out of the way in that one. Tell us a little bit more about your interactions with Pace. And I mean, you kind of gave us the story of how you got into Sub 2, but a lot of the folks that watch our show, they're brand new and they're just getting into real estate investing. And I think they could really put themselves in your shoes about 3 years ago. And, so I'll let you take that.
Yeah. I will say getting started in something new or jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is kind of terrifying at first. You're like, why the heck am I doing this? I'm comfortable staying buckled in. I know if I get in the plane, I can buckle in and get off when we're back on the ground. And I think that might be a good little analogy of like what it's getting into a new hobby or work lifestyle. Real estate can be very overwhelming and daunting. You see so many people really crushing it. I would say, like, especially when you're getting started, and this is what Sub 2 offered, and just like, this is why I really connected and loved it. You're around other people who are also learning, or you're around people that have more experience than you that are willing to help you. And I love the community aspect. I think that's really what made it it's blown up, because you have so much help. I want to network and work with people that are on the come up with me, rather than be on an island by myself. And just kind of like, I'm a social butterfly. You see me when we're at masterminds. I love being around everybody. Now I will say, after a mastermind, I take probably 2 days where I don't talk to anybody. But I think when you're especially starting something new, you really need to know what you want. And I knew that I wanted to kind of have the schedule and the lifestyle I wanted. I'm a big lifestyle person. I don't want to just work forever and get 2 weeks off a year and then, retire with a small little stipend. I wanted to be able to help people. And actually, I've kind of pivoted what I'm doing now. I'm moving into door knocking a lot and helping people that are in pre-foreclosure and don't know what to do with their homes. Like, I'd rather help somebody save their home or get something rather than nothing. But really identifying your reason why you're doing it. Because at first, when I got into wholesaling, I did not have a good reason. I was like, I'm just going to come in here and get rich. I'm going to make a ton of money. And you realize if you're not after it for the right reason, it's it's exhausting. Like when I first started cold calling, I was cold calling those driving for deals lists that really had no reason to sell. Their house just looked like turds. I was like, this is the worst house I've seen. I'm going to call them and see if they want to sell. And I was just getting cursed out every day. And I was like, this is not fun. I don't think this real estate thing is built for me. I'm not built for real estate. And then I started talking to people that really had problems. Like my first wholesale deal that I did was back where I'm from in Indiana. And I found a guy, I sold the house for $12,000. That's the price point where I'm from. I was going to make 3,000. There was still something left on the mortgage of the house. So I ended up walking away with like $2,200. But it was a house that was completely gutted. A guy was trying to fix it up and he was just like, I don't have time to fix it up. It's going to cost me another $40,000. I'm fine. He broke even. He walked away with nothing, but it was the middle of the winter, or no, it was in the summer. It was just like, he'd just come out of spring and like, he didn't want to deal with the headache of the home. And, once I had that first one, I'm like, okay, if I help somebody, this is nice. He doesn't have to deal with the headache. He doesn't deal with the taxes, the utilities. He doesn't worry about people getting in the house and vandalizing it or getting hurt on his property. And then the next person I helped was a woman in Florida who she was not in pre-foreclosure yet, but she bought this house and was going to try and fix it up. And it was in Florida. There was a hurricane, so it ripped off a portion of her roof. And there was a big hole. Well, if you guys are not familiar with Florida, in June, it's rainy season. I mean, that's the starting point of the hurricane season. And it just, I think it might not rain one day in June. And it was just pouring on her house. And she had black mold. It just got so bad. There was mold all the way through the home and she couldn't fix it up anymore. So she had actually moved with her dog into an apartment and wasn't even living in the house. And she was still paying the mortgage on a house that was in awful shape. She couldn't afford to fix it up. And you guys know what it's like and I've been to this point. Like, actually, I'll get into talking about this later when I tell you about myself. It's embarrassing when you can't fix things up and you just feel like you can't do anything right. I mean, I've had a lot of self-doubt and anxiety, and I've struggled with my own bouts of depression. She was really just going through it, and I was just able to relate to her because I was actually going through therapy at the same time. And I treated her like a human being. I wasn't just, tell me about your house. Let me buy your house at a discount. Let me buy your house at a discount. I figured out what she needed. I think she ended up walking away with $15,000, and we ended up moving the deal. I think we made right around the same amount, moving it to a fix and flipper. And she was just so grateful. And we still text. It was just like, hey, her name's Melody. Hey, Melody, how are you? We say hi to each other on the holidays. And that really made me feel good. I was like, ooh, this is like, I made a little bit of money here, and that filled up my cup. Like, oh, I was able to help somebody who was down and out and really was, you're getting a ton of phone calls when your house looks bad or people know that you're struggling to make those payments. It changed everything for me. So once I went into, I want to help people, and it's when you help solve problems, you can get paid. I loved it. I was like, I need more. It was like that first time I jumped out of an airplane. I was like, I got to do it again, So yeah, when you're getting started, I would say, don't just be in it for the money, because it can wear off when you're cold calling or when you're doing stuff. You're like, gosh, this sucks. I'm getting yelled at all the time. And you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to comp. You don't know really how to find those motivated sellers that need to sell. But when you go into it as an aspect of, I'm going to help solve somebody's problem, and you really care, oh my gosh, it just hits home. It really, you can sleep well at night. You do things the right way, the ethical way. Nothing else like it. So I would say, especially if you're getting started, find a little tribe, find like a little community you can network with, and then just know your reason why. At the end of the day, what I would like to do in the next couple of years, I want to build like a little community of affordable housing for single parents and domestic abuse victims. And I want to help them. It's really expensive right now, especially with inflation. So that's like my why do I want to do that? And then like, I don't want to work 9 hours a day for somebody else who, isn't going to take care of their people. At the end of the day, I want to do right by everybody, and I want to enjoy my life. Like, life is for living. Why are we working nonstop? Like, if you're not stopping to smell the roses and you're not jumping out of a plane or going to Universal at least once a year. Like, what are you doing? There's more than just sitting behind a keyboard or doing manual labor forever. So yeah, know your reason why, find a tribe that you can work with, and then just take consistent action. And I will say this, before I really hammered down, I was so inconsistent. I mean, I'm lucky I made that $26,000. It just happened to be, I found good opportunities, but I was not consistent. If you hit your KPIs, if you figure out what your KPIs need to be, and KPIs, your key performance indicators, if you realize like, all right, I need to make 25 conversations today. I need to have 25 meaningful conversations. And it can be with sellers that are in distress that need help. And just so you know, we all need to understand what distress is. I used to think somebody's house looked like crap was really in distress. That might be one signal, but like, are they in distress and they're going through a bankruptcy? Are they in distress and they're in pre-foreclosure? Are they in distress and it's a busted up looking house, but it's a tired landlord whose partner says they're going to divorce them if they don't deal with this headache of these tenants that are making their life hell. So really understanding what the problem is and how you can solve it, and just being relentless. Like, don't quit, be persistent. That's really, Pace is like, you're persistent. I like that. You want to work for me? So being consistent and persistent and hitting your numbers, you will feel so confident. And if you keep the promises you make to yourself, nothing's going to stop you. And you're going to change your life and your family's life by doing that. So I'd say, again, I want to just bring it back. Know your reason why. Find people that are better than you and smarter than you so you can hang out with them, because they're going to lift you up. If you keep hanging around the yahoos that are complacent and content with where they are, you're going to be complacent and content, and you're never going to achieve the goals that you wanted. And I actually did a Tony Robbins event. I've done a few, and I did it with Ingrid and Marlon, and we had like 10 minutes. I actually think it's over here in my little dresser over here. I have a legal pad, and I spent 10 minutes writing out everything that I'm going to find it right now. Everything that I wanted to do. Let me pull it out. It's got to be one of these. I wrote down, I have a few of them. I filled them all the way out. Here it is, the Business Mastery. I filled out this entire legal pad full of stuff. Everything that you could want. I wrote down, like, I wanted to have a masseuse come to my house every day, or once a week, excuse me. I wanted to have a masseuse come to my house once a week. I wanted to have a personal chef. I wanted to be able to fly first class. I eventually want to have my own pilot's license. Here we go. This is it.
Yeah, so far, I want everything on that list except for the pilot.
I know.
Thing. Yeah.
It's like it's my dream bucket. So it needs to be your short term, your medium, and your long term goals. So it can be experiences, things, and gifts. And like, why not me?
I think I want the masseuse every day, though, rather than the once a week.
A little deep tissue, a facial once in a while. I just got a pedicure 2 days ago. Like, you got to treat yourself. Like, so I feel like sometimes you get lost in like the monotony of like, I just got to grind. I got to hustle and grind. And I don't feel like I was really living life. There was a moment there I just was hyper fixated on, I'm not doing enough. And I was really beating myself up. But yeah, I have this, and it's not too far. It's not too far from where I stand. I check it out all the time. I wanted to get like, you got to shoot big. I don't know if you guys have been to Dave & Buster's out here in Phoenix. It's called like Main Event. And there's this really, like, I can put fun things. There's a Connect 4 basketball game. So you can shoot hoops and you have to like make the Connect 4. I want one of those in my basement. Like, I want to have like a fun house where everybody can come and hang out, and I just want to do all of the experiences in life and travel. And that's attainable by helping other people solve their problems. So I would implore everybody, if you're getting started, take the time, put on some of your, put on a playlist of your favorite music, write down your short-term, medium, and long-term goals. They can be experiences, things, and gifts. And then don't just think about them, do the work to change your life. And I mean, I think I have 2 pages of it. So it's great. I'm so glad I just continue to focus on developing myself. I actually have never worked on myself before I got into real estate. It's crazy when you're surrounding yourself by around entrepreneurs. I really used to have a victim mindset of life was happening to me. This isn't fair. And life's not fair. You have to realize life isn't fair. And if you want things to change, you have to be the change. So that's one of the biggest things I can say. I really started to hang around the right crew, the campfire effect, like we said, you want to be around the right campfire that's lifting you up. And my life is better for it. I mean, I wake up every day grateful to be here. I'm not dreading hitting snooze and, oh my gosh, I don't want to do today. So, yeah, I know that's kind of like a long-winded answer, but I'd just say, like, hang out with the right people, know your reason why, be relentless, like just go forward and mess up and learn from that. Like now I realize everything is a lesson. Like you might have been burned on something, you might have done a flip where you lose money, but that was a lesson. You paid money to learn that and never let it happen again. So yeah, if you're new, find the right crowd, work at it. If you are working full time, take 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day, work 5 hours a week on it, and just go after people that have problems and then squat up. I think that would be one of the biggest things too. I realized I heard this from Max Maxwell, because I used to watch Max Maxwell. Didn't have a mentorship when I got into real estate, and I watched all of his YouTube, and he talked about JVing with people, joint venturing. You can have a piece of the grape, or you can work with other people and you can have a piece of the watermelon. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go alone on this island and like go the hard way, or have the melting of minds where we can all work together and you take this part of the problem, I'll take this, you do the paperwork, I'll do the talking to the seller part, and let's make a win-win for everybody. So working with other people, working together, collaborating is going to help you excel a lot faster too.
Yeah, what an awesome answer. You are like the easiest interview I've ever had.
Yeah, okay, well, good. I'm glad.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, some people are the one question or the one word answer
Yeah.
type, and you've got to keep going. But man, so many nuggets. Man, I hope you guys who are watching really appreciate the gold that you're getting today. This is such a blessing. In fact, if you are, please go find Caroline online and show her some appreciation, show her some love. She is tremendous, and it's not over yet. We've got more questions and more hanging out together. How long do I get to keep you for?
I can go another half hour. We can go a little over that. I am trying to go out and door knock. There are people that I have recently, talking about people with problems, and I've been, if you are in sub 2 and you're in Zooms with me, I've been preaching this for the last month. Right now in the United States, there's over 700 mortgages in our country that are in default. So I've been door knocking those. I can pull just quick information for you guys. You can pull this information from your county and just ask them, hey, where can I find the information of the auctions that are happening this month? And this is the quickest way to make like money. Go find people that have the auction date that have a problem and just knock on them and be relentless and let them know that you can help them. Don't just go up to them and knock and say, I want to buy your house. Like, hey, I saw that there's an issue with your lender. They're saying there's an auction date. I have a lot of them are on the 28th. So I'm trying to follow up with them now. You have an auction set for the 28th. I just want to see if anybody's given you any options to stop that auction. So I want to go out and hit those door knocks. I have a goal to get 20 doors today. And I'm sure you guys are aware, not all of the people that are struggling with their mortgage live right next to each other. They're about 15 minutes apart, 20 minutes apart, and then you have a conversation. So the goal is to hit 20 doors today. So yeah, I can talk for a half hour. We can keep going or a little over that.
All right. I totally appreciate that. And you know what, actually, I wanted to ask one question, but in the midst of you talking about this, I'm going to ask a different question just because I've done some door knocking myself. Okay. And I really like the model, but one of my frustrations is, I've got to drive to one part of town to knock on one door, then hop in the car, drive another 10 minutes, get to the next door, and then drive another 10 minutes to get to the next door. Is there a software out there or anything to make it easier?
Yeah, I think I need to start asking for affiliates codes because I keep telling people all of these little tips and tricks I'm doing. I just downloaded this. I used it actually when I first got started. It's called Badger Maps, like Honey Badger, don't give a dang, you know what I'm talking about? A Badger Maps. I'm not perfect at it, but it gives you a route that gives you the most efficient way to go from door to door, and then you can add notes on each property. So you can even go through and comp it before and upload it to Badger Maps so you can know where you need to be on your price. You can have your seller's information. I was told yesterday when I was talking about this, you can also do like eight or 9 addresses on Google Maps, but it doesn't tell you the person's name. It doesn't have like profiles and everybody. So Badger Maps, or it's like Badger Mapping, I think. It's actually, here, I'll tell you, I have it on my phone.
Yeah, I
Um,
just pulled it up. It is. I'll post it in the
yeah.
comments for folks. It
So
is.
there's
It's
all.
Badger
Will it
mapping.
focus? Let me see if I can turn this off. I don't know if it'll let you barely see it. Anyways, it's on there. If you tilt it, there you go. You can see my little map route out. It won't
And
focus for you, but
I'm sharing this now, folks, but if you're slow and you don't sign up soon, which is fine, make sure to contact Caroline because she's going to go get an affiliate link so that you can actually
right, I should.
capitalize on
Well,
this.
they give you a free trial, and if you sign up you give you like 7 days free trial, and I just signed up for it yesterday. If you give them something, I can't remember, give you an extra 3 days, so you can get a 10-day free trial to see if you even like it. But I'd also say for everybody who's new, don't get shiny object syndrome of downloading 70 things and not using it. So if you're going to get Badger Maps and you're going to go into door knocking, like door knocking makes me nervous. I don't like who likes rejection? I probably need to go through some rejection therapy where I just go up and ask a bunch of people for like money and random things so they tell me no and I get numb to it. But do whatever you're going to do, go 100% into it. Don't half-ass it at all. Like get in there and just don't quit. Go after the Badger Maps and just do it for 100 days. Do it definitely for the 10 days for the free trial, but you got to hit those doors and don't waste the free trial.
I love that.
Amazing.
I'm going to give probably after this question, I'm going to kick it over to Malcolm to ask a few questions. But the next question that I have is again geared towards newer investors or people that are thinking, okay, I'd like to get into REI. I'd like to get into real estate investing. What are some common mistakes that new investors make, and how can they avoid them?
I like that's a good question. What are some common mistakes that new investors make? Failing to plan. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. I mean, you guys have heard me say that all the time. Actually, on my YouTube channel, it's like my background. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And I say this because I've done that. Like I want most of the stuff, like the content I make, I'm talking to the 2020 version of Caroline. Like I'm talking to the younger version of me. Don't give up. That's really all it is. If you show up every day and you're consistent and you hit your numbers and you track your numbers, if you track your KPIs so you can see, like, if you've been doing this for 3 months or you've been doing this for a year and you haven't gotten a deal yet, are you tracking what you're doing? Are you actually talking to motivated people? And if you're not, that's your problem. And that's what my problem was when I got started. I was like, I'll do these calls. I wasn't having a goal of how many conversations I wanted to have in a day. I was like, I'm going to just call for 2 hours. Well, 2 hours can go pretty quickly and you can not get a hold of anybody at all. Like if you have the standard of I'm going to have 25 conversations and they're going to be quality ones where I talk to leads, not prospects. And when I say leads compared to prospects, I mean, you're prospecting for gold. Can I find gold? I'm going to shake the pan and see if there's any gold in there. Prospecting does not mean that they're a lead. If you're just calling, that doesn't mean they're leads. They need to be qualified. They need to be motivated to sell. And when I say need, I like hear me. I hope in your head you're imagining in all caps, bold, underline, need to sell. Not just, I'd like to sell. My neighbor sold their house for $40,000 more than they were asking back in 2020. I know the economy is kind of crashing right now in 2023, but I want as much money as possible. Like that's not a lead. Okay. So I'd say knowing you're talking to actual leads, showing up every day and tracking what you're doing and having some kind of plan going into it will help you a ton. And here's my next plug that I'm not an affiliate for, but I read the book, The Miracle Morning, and I tell everybody in sub 2, if they download the app, The Miracle Morning, they tag me on my Instagram, which you can see on the live here. It's at the Caroline Cain. If you tag me on Instagram for 100 days in sub 2, I'll do a one-on-one Zoom with you or call with you, and I'll answer questions and help you out. But I do that because I want people to pay the tax that they're working on themselves before I take time away from myself, my own business, where I could be helping people who are actually going to listen to me and like implement it into your life. So say the question one more time, Justin. I want to make sure I'm getting it all covered.
Yeah, it was basically, what are some mistakes that new investors tend to make, and what are some ways in which they can avoid them? So you've done an amazing job answering that.
Good. Well, plan it out. So just plan it out. If you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. If you're not tracking your key performance indicators, your KPIs, you're never going to get better. And this is, something, think about it. If you ever go to the gym, you see the freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger types that are freaking buff with their gallon of water and their freaking notebook. They always have a notebook because they track their workouts. and they can see I've hit this many reps today, I should be growing. You're not going to be a grow giver if you're not tracking what you're doing.
So cool.
Give you my one-liners. All right, I hope I answered that all the way, Justin.
I went ahead and I just shared the link to the Miracle Morning book for folks who are interested in picking up a copy of that. And then, Malcolm, did you have some questions? I have a bunch more. If you don't,
Let's give Malcolm a breathe. Go ahead.
I didn't want to hog up, talking with Miss Caroline here. So.
Oh no, I've always got a bunch of questions. The one that comes back to me right now is people that know you, at least within sub 2, is that I think the last word they would think about you is inconsistent, and you talk a lot about how you were inconsistent. I think for anybody that's listening that needs to learn, it would be really interesting to know how you realized you were being inconsistent, whether that was somebody, something, self-realization, and how you managed to do that switch across.
Great question. Well, I realized I was inconsistent when in December of 2020, I had $15 in my bank account and I felt awful. So I was like, so I joined sub 2 and I had completely abandoned wholesaling. Basically, I was like, I joined sub 2. I swiped my credit card. I should be doing sub 2 deals all the time. I went through the course. I should know what Payson Morby knows. And I am one of those people that has to get their hands dirty. I'm the one who's like, oh, I played basketball forever. I almost went to college. I tore my ACL. If you guys, you're hanging out with a retired high school athlete, it was pretty good. But I tore my ACL. And like when you play basketball, just let me get in front of the camera here. You should not have a chicken wing out when you're shooting a ball because the ball is going to go to the right if you're shooting right-handed. You need to have your elbow and your chicken wing in, and you have great form. So I was really good at sports. I can watch people. I never played football. I'm a girl, but I could watch guys throw footballs, and I throw a perfect spiral just by watching them. I can watch, and I can start doing that. I am one of those that has to show monkey see, monkey do. Show me how to do it, and then I can do it, and I can do it. I can make it better, and I can help other people learn. I can't just sit and consume. I have to sit, consume, and then try it out and fail forward. And when I got into sub 2, and I started working on Pace's team. Actually, I was one of the first people on the acquisition team that were new hires that was closing deals because I still wholesaled. I was wholesaling those deals. And then the more I was in sub 2, I completely abandoned wholesaling. And I was like, I'm going to buy all these houses subject to. I'm going to buy them creatively. And a lot of people don't need to sell their houses creatively. Like when you're buying a house subject to, especially, that's a person who's highly motivated. Like they have to sell. Like I'm going to lose my house to an auction in 2 days. I will sell to you so you can help me perfect my credit, build it back up. And I just tried to make a square peg fit in a round hole. I was just really trying. I didn't have motivated sellers. I wasn't talking to people that needed to sell. And also I'd say I still didn't really know how to talk to sellers that well. And I could, now I say that out loud, I could beg to differ. I wasn't talking to motivated sellers. I was working on leads that were not highly motivated. I was working on like for sale by owners. I was working on talking to agents. They didn't really have the pain that needed to sell. So I realized at Christmas, I'm like, I only have $15. And at that time I bought a VA. I was paying for a VA. I bought a CRM. I got a skip tracing account. I got a triple line dialer, and I burned through 10 grand in a month, and I had nothing to show for it because I wasn't talking to highly motivated sellers. So I burned through that, and I just was like, I can't. I went down to the bottom of the bucket. I just felt so depressed. I felt worthless, and I was like, I can't live like this. Like I feel awful, and I have nothing to show for it. So then I started I read the book, The Miracle Morning, and I started immediately implementing the apps challenge. There was a 30-day challenge, and every morning I'd wake up. I like to give myself like an hour for a morning routine. And the Miracle Morning has this thing called the Savers. So you're supposed to start your day with silence. And I was never doing that. I used to just like wake up and then roll straight into work. And I always felt like I was behind the 8 ball. I always felt anxious. And then like I would get reminded, oh, you have a meeting or you have to do this. I'm like, I was not prepared for this. I was just always flying by the seat of my pants. And so you start with silence. And I guys, look at me. Look how quickly I'm talking right now and all the thoughts I have. I'm a mile a minute kind of person. And sitting still has been hard because I told myself that. It was a limiting belief. So I'd start out with a moment of silence and I'd just focus on my breathing. And then, so S is for silence. And then I do affirmations, and I taught like, this is so big. And I never really focused. I was really good at sports, and I think I was pretty mentally tough when I play things. But I realized I played for a Nike basketball team, and then I played for my high school basketball team. My high school team was really good. We were ranked number 2 in the state at one point. But on my high school basketball team, I really didn't like fit in. I wasn't, my family's not from Kokomo, where I'm from. And I didn't really have like a best friend on the team, and people people that were jealous of me because I just was naturally gifted, and I kind of had a hard time getting along with all the girls. And I didn't have confidence in myself that much on my high school team. But when I played on this Nike team where nobody knew me, nobody knew my background, I was making threes all day because I didn't have any judgments of who I was. I was like, when you grow up and you leave your hometown and you go somewhere else where nobody knows you and they have no preconceived notions of you. That's kind of what it was like for me playing on this travel team. So on my travel team, I was making crazy shots. I was, making all the assists. I was the person on the team. On my high school team, I kind of was like a shell of who I just didn't feel confident in myself. And it tells you, it goes back to, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I didn't realize if I would have focused on my mental toughness and really just believing in myself at an earlier age, I would have been great. But I didn't have that confidence in myself. And that's something I didn't work on until I was like 27, 28. And by doing that and really believing in myself, by doing those affirmations and like keeping the promises to myself, I really started to feel good about me. And I started helping other people. So silence, affirmations, and then you do a visualization. Again, coming back into sitting still, thinking about what I wanted was hard. So writing down all of those things I wanted. And then let me go grab this. I have a vision board. So I have my vision board right here, and some of my stickers have fallen off. I have there you go. Let me throw it down. Actually, where is it? Right here. This is the first time I went skydiving. That's in Hawaii. But I have my vision board. I need to get it hung up again. But I have all the things I want to see. So I'll just sometimes sit here and I'll imagine having these from doing the work and showing up every day. And I wasn't doing that. I was just kind of like going through the motions in life. So silence, affirmations. I would do my visualizations for 5 minutes and really just like feel it, smell it, taste what it is like to do, like to achieve the things that I want. And then the best thing that you can do for E is exercise. Oh my gosh, the freaking endorphins you get from exercising. I don't know if you guys have ever done a Tony Robbins event, but I'm going to pull these things in my pockets. When you're at a Tony Robbins event, I'm charging my Apple Watch right now, but I jumped probably 10 miles in a day, and Tony Robbins just has you up on your feet and you feel so good. He's telling you stuff and you're like, you're really retaining it. If you can get up first thing in the morning and like pump out some push-ups, be on your knees if you have to when you do those push-ups, or just jump around or dance to music that makes you feel good. Oh, that dopamine hit, especially I have ADHD, if you could not tell. And people with ADD are actually dopamine deficient. So you're always searching for that next high. Get up and get moving. It's incredible. So doing the exercise was great. And then the last saver is R, which is reading. And you just read a self-help book. So I was reading David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. I was reading Atomic Habits. I was reading The Miracle Morning. I really just started to do something for Caroline, which made me feel like I was invincible. Like I am Iron Man, like nothing can touch me. So doing The Miracle Morning really made me feel like I was the hot girl and confident. I was really focusing on myself, which helped me produce and help other people, which was really, really cool. So I'd say doing The Miracle Morning. And then that July, after reading David Goggins, I'm like, I heard this Andy Fristella guy and the 75 hard. And I was like, which is not easy. It's 75 hard. And I'll say the only reason I completed that, because I wanted to quit week 2, is because I told everybody in sub 2 I was going to do it. And I created a little accountability group. And I was like, man, I have all these people watching me. I cannot quit the 75 hard. So once you do the 75 hard, you're like, I have so much time in my day. Like, I'm not utilizing my time well. I was avoiding things by watching Netflix and scrolling mindlessly on social media. So once I realized, oh my gosh, if I plan out my days and I've planned my day, I have to wake up and do my first 45-minute workout, I can achieve anything. I'm really, really good with my time. So I'd say the Miracle Morning and doing the 75 hard, and then just like talking with people. Marlon Johnson, one of my best friends, and being able to just bounce off like, hey, are you really, Ingrid Hernandez too, are you really doing what you say you're going to do, or you keep breaking those promises to yourself? So I would say the mindset and the self-work is going to help you achieve whatever the heck you want in your life, as long as you make that a priority.
I want to actually take the opportunity real quick before we jump on to do a little shameless plug here. I just posted in the chat there, Build. It's a blueprint to unlock a positive self-image. It's a new book that Adam Diaz and myself wrote for a course that we're going to be doing soon on positive self-image. So for those who want to do the R in the savers, maybe check out that book. It's free right now on Kindle. So if you click on it, you can go pick it up for free. Also, man, so inspirational listening to you, Caroline. I mean, I'm getting recharged right now. Just, and I've sort of let some of these things slide in my own practice. I have a morning routine, but it's been a while since I've intentionally visualized.
That's the other thing. You've got to be intentional with everything you do. I think that would go back into Malcolm's question. You can go through the motions, but if you're not actually present and being intentional with what you're doing, are you really wanting things to change? Are you writing down your goals every morning? Are you keeping them somewhere and tracking that? Like, if you're not intentional, nothing's going to come from it. And I say that because I've been a zombie, a shell of a person where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go through and do the affirmations. But if you don't actually feel it and you don't actually like show up when it counts, what quit. Don't even stop. You're not going to get to your goal. So yeah, you got to be intentional.
Margaret is asking, she's saying, what's the name of the book again? I think she was referring probably to the Miracle Morning book. So the book is The Miracle Morning. Mm-hmm. And then we have some more folks who have some questions as well. Dennis has been asking a few on here. Malcolm, do you have another question before I get to the audience questions?
Oh, plenty.
Yeah, I know. I've got a list as well. I mean, but we've got 13 more minutes with Caroline. So
I can go over too if we can answer everybody's questions. If I'm providing any value, I'd love to go through and make sure I can help everybody. But Malcolm, that was a good question. I think yours might have been. You both have asked me great questions, but I hope that was really helpful for everybody. I should have thought of that sooner.
No, that was something I wanted to make certain that the audience could, because you're a great role model for people building themselves up. And so I think it's great to highlight how you've made your journey as such. I guess the other question that I'm curious about, because we share the same issue as ADHD, I'd like to get your perspective on how you deal with ADHD, the components of ADHD. And I think I said to you probably about a year ago, I refactored ADHD as a superpower in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just would like to, for those that have to deal with that as well, because it's very easy, especially with ADHD, to get shiny
object syndrome. Yeah. Distracted all the time.
Your take on that and how you deal with it, because you're not quiet about it either, for that matter.
No, yeah. I would say, one, getting a therapist, like talking through it, because like I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 9. I actually just had this conversation last night with my girlfriend. I didn't really know how to read until I was 9. I hated school. I am not the traditional student that can just sit there and read a book and then spit out what was there. Like and I'm a little bit dyslexic. Like it takes me a few times to read things. When I'm doing my reading for the Miracle Morning, I need to give myself bare minimum 30 minutes to read 10 pages because I want to make sure I'm comprehending it. And just a little life hack for everybody, if you read like I do, get the audiobook. And I use my library card. I use Hoopla, Hoopla, like a basketball hoopla. You can listen to, most books are on there. You can download a digital copy and a Audible book. I will listen to it with headphones and I will read and I'll take notes at the same time. If it's like a really book that I want to be intentional about, my retention has gone through the roof when I do that. When you write things down physically, it helps you a ton. It's actually scientifically proven. People who write things down have a 75 to 95% recall rate, which helps me because I'm sure you're aware, Malcolm, and anybody here with ADHD, you're like, what what was that person's name? Like I use people, if you have a conversation with me and I first meet you, I'm dropping your name at least 5 times in the first 2 minutes so I can get the hang of what your name is.
Yeah. You're reinforcing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say getting a therapist. I really, really, really beat myself up when I was living in Florida. And I got a therapist because I was really struggling with depression. And she's the one who pointed out to me that ADHD people are dopamine deficient. And that's why we're always looking for that next high. And like ADHD, like caffeine really doesn't do anything to me. I don't need caffeine. I don't drink coffee. Caffeine kind of just levels me out. If anything, when I was younger, I got diagnosed Ritalin when I was 9. So I'd take like 10 milligrams a day, and it just level me out. I hear everybody else talk about when they take Adderall and stuff. They're like, I feel limitless. For me, it's
Mental
like,
planet 8, yeah,
it just slows me down. So I would say get a therapist or talk to somebody about it. There's actually a lot of podcasts that I've listened to about ADHD, but I know for me to function, I get bored. I don't want to work 10 hours a day. Like and when I say work, sitting down and doing the integrator stuff where I have to pull data and put it in a spreadsheet. Oh my gosh. Like that can suck a big toe. I hate it. It's just not fun for me, but door knocking and talking to people or coming on and like doing podcasts and recording content and making how-to videos. Love that. That's really what inspires me, and being around other people. So finding way, and I actually used Creighton Bertrand. He was in my life coach, and I just surround myself with people that are like doing better than me. And how do I get up there? How do I catch up with you? Life hack. But he even brought up like, Caroline, maybe you don't really love this. Why don't you do things that you love? Why don't you sit down and figure out what you love? And then it won't be so hard to do that, to do whatever you love. So when I struggle with that, I time block. I learned that through people that are doing better than me and going through Tony Robbins stuff. Time block your day, and I give myself a little break. So before we started this, I said, I got to go put on my green shirt. I'm actually wearing like, you see, I'm neon green socks. I was going for a walk, and I had to make sure I had green on my walk for St. Patrick's Day. But I went for a walk this morning. I ran, and I need to go. I feel better when I exercise. So I build in after the daily dows and stuff. After my 4 hours of Zooms I do in the morning, I go work out and I go hang out with my dog. And I allow myself to have shiny object syndrome of, I'm going to go chase things like my dog, like a squirrel. Let me go see the outside. And on my walk, you guys know me, I'm a talker. So I ran into like 6 people with dogs. I'm like, oh my God, your dog's so beautiful. So I get to go do my ADD stuff. And then I get to come back and I'm like, all right, I was ADD for a little bit. Let's knock this out. When this podcast started, I put my phone on do not disturb. I hit a goal of, I want to have this many conversations. I tack things off. So I allow myself to be ADD in little fun aspects. And then I get the work done, and I reward myself with the work that I've done. And I allow myself to go be ADD, and I'll go hang out with the guys. I moved into the Mindset House with Marlon and Daryl and AJ. And last night we stayed up till 10 o'clock and we played. If you guys have not played this game, it's called Exploding Kittens. One of the best games ever. Fun game. It's survival basically. And you got to play defense. It's a card game, but mix in the ADD to make life fun.
Exploding Kittens.
Exploding Kittens. It is the easiest way to explain it. It's like Uno, except you want to be the last one standing. So there's a bunch of cards in the deck that are like cats that are exploding. They're bombs. And you don't want to get that. So you have a diffuse. So you can diffuse the bomb, and then you can do like attack where people have to draw 2. And it's really, really fun. If you ever want to have a fun game night, Exploding Kittens, and get all the expansion packs. I've bought that game a few times.
Absolutely amazing. I'm going to look that up right now.
Oh, you got to get it. You and your tongue need to play it with the boys. You'll have a blast. Malcolm, you and Paula, you got to play it with your boys too. You guys will have a blast.
Sounds amazing.
But yeah, no, I'd say talk to somebody about it, because it's daunting. ADD, and you just like, I also struggle with ADD, and we were talking about this on Wednesday with Marlon. There's whirlwinds that will happen in your day that kind of take you off the topic of what's most important. Doing the Miracle Morning and writing out my power list of the 5 things that I really want to get done, like that are going to move the needle forward, and like money-making activities, getting those done, because I will come in and I'll clean my desk. And my desk is one of those whiteboard desks, which is probably a gift and a curse, because I'll write on it and then I'll accidentally erase it, or there's a bunch of little writings on my desk. I will clean those off, and I'm like, you know what? I just cleaned my desk. Why don't I sweep the floor? While I'm sweeping the floor, you know what? I can see the bathroom around the corner. Let me go just organize the bathroom. So
yeah, you go in hyper-focus mode on something you shouldn't be on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to do yesterday morning. I did a little thing. I cleaned the car last weekend, and I'm like, this gives me that instant gratification of getting something done. So give yourself time to be ADD, but write down the things that are most important to you and accomplish them, and reward yourself with an opportunity to be ADD. That's what works for me. And then making things into games really, really, really helps me.
Oh, that is
Great answer.
yeah. And this has been an amazing show. We're at the 55-minute mark. If I don't get to some audience questions, we're not going to get to them. So I'm going to just jump in with those real quick. And I'm going to pick, Dennis had a couple of good questions as I was watching the scroll go. He says, first he asks, do you think, and I think he just means, I don't know.
Foreclosures?
Yeah, I think he just meant the foreclosures are better than agent outreach in this market.
So they're two different strategies. This is my thought process. If you want to close a deal and you want to get paid quickly, deal with the highest motivated seller. Okay. You can do agent outreach. And I mean, people get deals all the time from agent outreach. Now, are they going to potentially give you all the terms that you need? Is it going to be as fast as somebody who is really, really like struggling? I'm going to say probably not. These foreclosures, there's an auction date, especially, and people need help. Again, I'm going to come back into how many listings are there in the country right now. I don't know how many houses are on market, but like in Maricopa County and Phoenix alone, in the month of March, there are 1,600 auctions that are going to be happening. 1,600 auctions are happening in Maricopa. There are over 700 mortgages in default in the country right now. Like, I was in school. I was in middle school when the 2008 crash happened. So I just remember what my parents told me. I'm living through a recession as an adult now, but like the banks, you know what I mean? Like screw the banks, dude. Like they screwed everybody over giving out terrible loans. And this is my own opinion. They all got these big bonuses and they wrecked our economy, and they're not giving out the forbearances like they should. And people are like, I door knocked a house where a guy broke his back at work, and he and his wife are both out of work, and they can't catch up the mortgage. They have nobody that can help them, and they want to keep the house. And I'd love to help you keep the house, but you didn't get approved for a loan mod or a forbearance. And give somebody a break. So I would say go in and help these people in foreclosures, and they really, really, really need somebody to listen and help them get into the next chapter of their life. Nobody wants to go through a foreclosure. Nobody wants to have that on their record for 7 years, and it's impossible to get a car loan or a mortgage or rent anywhere. So those people are really going to be grateful. And my own opinion, I mean, some agents are great, but like, how many agents know what creative finance is? You're really going to have to teach them. And when you go directly to a seller, you are able to help them out more. You can help sellers with agents, but my opinion right now is go directly to the agent. The seller, excuse me. You can go to agents. I'm just not saying you're going to get something immediately. It might be a longer workout.
And Carolyn, work hard. I love the comments you made about the bank, because the crashing of banks this week actually pointed out something to me, that the banks don't want those loans. They want to foreclose.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they want to foreclose is that now the interest rates are at 6%. All those loans to them are worth half of what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want those loans. The reason Silicon Valley Bank went down was basically when they went to sell off the loans that they owned as assets, they were worth half the price.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to go on due on sale clauses. They're going to go for those foreclosures because they want to get new loans with higher interest rates. So
yeah, and this is something Ingrid pointed out to me, guys. Like banks, what do you get if you leave your money in the bank? 0.001% interest. And if you get it in a CD, it might be a little more. Banks lend our money out at 400%. Isn't that crazy? Like, dude, what the heck? So, anyways, I would go for the person that needs help. And my opinion is go directly to those sellers. And sometimes these sellers are not even talking to agents yet. Like, not everybody has their house listed. A lot of these houses, one of the houses that I went to was listed that I door knocked. Wow. Everything else was not on market. And I talked to a lady, and she's like, "Oh, we got the forbearance." I came back home. I was like, "I'm going to check and see if they got the forbearance." They did not. And she said, "I have an agent's phone number." Guys, if your auction's next week, there's no guarantee that an agent's going to be able to sell your house and get you the number that you need when you're behind. So I'd say go directly to the seller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions there, Justin?
Well, I'm looking over here. Dennis does have another one. It's I'm not sure if it's really a follow up. He says, "Do you think buying small, inexpensive homes today is a mistake? I heard you can go broke buying small." And I think he means as opposed to like multifamily or buying larger assets.
Your body, your choice. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to what you want to do, what kind of investor you want to be. That's another thing that you need to know your reason why. There's so many different strategies or different opinions on this. I know like some of the bigger guys are like, only go into multifamily, and other people are like, you can borrow against single family homes. My own opinion, I eventually would like to get into multifamily. Right now, I'm fine doing the single family route because I want to help those people. And I would just stay at the median price range. I wouldn't go up into those multi-million-dollar homes because it's a smaller buyer's pool when you end up moving that house. So at the end of the day, it's your body, your choice. What do you want to do? You have to make a decision, guys. You can't just consume information. Knowledge is not power unless you're taking action. So
I love that.
yeah, it's useless. I mean, I know a lot of people that have multiple degrees, multiple masters, and they do nothing with it. So don't just know everything, take action with it.
I am busy typing that down so that knowledge is not power unless you're
You take
taking action.
Yeah.
Everything is risky now. The whole interest rate situation has changed the dynamics, and we're really starting to feel it now. So just to answer from my perspective on that question, multifamily is the next area that is being rumored to be falling apart. I mean,
do you know why? Because I actually had a conversation with Pace about this back in December. So a lot of people back in like 2020, when money was cheap and interest rates were really low, 2%, 2.5%, 3.5%, you could get these properties and they'd buy them and they'd do a bridge loan, which was good for 3 years. And they did that in 2020. So you're buying these houses at inflated prices with low interest rate and interest only payments. So they're not paying that principal down. They're only making interest payments, and they're going to have to pay that full amount off at the end of the 3 years. Well, now we're in 2023 when interest rates are up and the prices have dropped. So you purchased it at this $10 million mark, but now it's worth, like $6 million. You can't refinance it. So you're upside down. So yeah, a lot of that multifamily, it's going to be that's going to be, if you have money parked away and you can go buy those. I know that's what he's going to be looking into.
Yeah, no, I mean, the object example of that is not Ashton Kutcher, Jared Kushner, his father. If you're forgetting politics and whatever else, he fell for that problem himself. He had to refinance a couple of years ago and ended up bankrupt as a result. And I think there's a lot of people that may be going into that same issue right now. So if you've got bridge loans, or even the loan structures for multifamilies quite often include a couple of years of interest only payments until they then they then restructure so that interest and principal. So people may be finding themselves in trouble, a lot of trouble. So you just got to choose, and you got to be careful the way you do it.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been taught this, and it depends on the kind of what industry you're in. Because I've learned about buying businesses. Why would you want to do a 3-year balloon? You just don't know what's going to happen. And if you are going to do that balloon, make sure that you can say, as long as it can appraise for what you want at the balloon payment. So it's fascinating. I mean, I'm always learning. I know you guys are always learning. So check out a few people that are doing that. I'm not really in multifamily. I'm really focusing on that single family. I want to be able to help homeowners, and I want to help the average Joe. Eventually, I will be getting into multifamily, but right now, that's my opinion.
Well, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much, Caroline. I appreciate you so much, and I'm noticing the love that you're getting in the comments as well. So take a moment and go and check those out. I think this is probably my favorite. This one that just popped up from Pagel, a new sub 2 student. Great to meet you, by the way, Pagel. And she, and probably butchering your name. I apologize for that. But, taking action, being inspired by Caroline. And I can testify that's my experience as well. I'm a better action taker having gotten to meet you and getting to know you. And you're one of my favorite people, and I think you know that we shared that. So, and so glad to finally get you on the show, folks. Thank you
you for
so
having me.
much for joining us on today's edition of the Grow Giver. We're so excited to have had Caroline Cain on with us today. Next week, we're going to be interviewing Carolyn Briley. So that's going to be a pretty exciting show. We've had Caroline on once before, but it was with that whole group that her and Myron were with, the $1 Million Upside team. And they've recently started doing their own thing apart from the $1 Million Upside team. And so we're going to check in with them and see how they're doing and give you guys a chance to see how some other real estate investors who are crushing it at what they're doing are doing. And they're inspiring. Their stories inspiring to me as well. And so we're excited to have Carolyn on next week. And I don't know after that what we've got, but thank you so much for being with us today, Caroline. Man, I'm gonna want to get you booked on the show again. This was, like I said, one of the easiest interviews I've ever done. So
good. I'm glad. I hope it was helpful for everybody. Malcolm, thank you. Both of you had great questions. For anybody that's still listening to this, like, just go on. If you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail, and surround yourself with the right campfire. What do you want out of life? So I'm going to implore you, as soon as you are done listening to this, put on your favorite song and write down whatever your goals are, short, long, medium, whatever they may be. Write out whatever the heck you can have. So thank you guys so much for having me.
No, thank you. You've been amazing.
Thank you again. And to everybody watching, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for spending this hour with us, and we will see you next week.